What is going on, good people of the world? Special guest here, the Brandon Vaughn. I mean, he's a humble guy, so I'm not going to go too far because, that's just who he is. But Hirebus is his newest venture. We're going to talk about that. Wise Coatings, the branding, the presence in the marketplace in the concrete coating space. Conquer, coaching programs, the ultimate CEO, someone that I admire and look up to, an ultimate facilitator of humans. Did an amazing keynote 2 years ago that I was a part of at PCA that was incredibly impactful. Couldn't help but come up to you and shake your hand on that. So happy to have you here.
Tanner. So I'm happy to be here, man. And likewise, super CEO here as well. So I love networking. That's why we
Yeah,
connected a while ago and just kind of hit it off. So thanks for having me.
master at ambiance as well.
You like my cave?
I love it. I've always admired that. I think I came up with that like, what camera do you use? I think I asked you that one. Anyway, so Brandon, man, I want to get into a few things. I want to maximize the time. I want to help people. That's
Let's
the
do it.
purpose of this podcast, is to give secrets. A little bit about you, man. For the people who've never heard of Brandon Vaughn, I'd love to hear a little
Sure.
bit in your words, who you are, what you're about, what you stand for, and what you've done.
I've been in home services my whole life. So my dad owned a window cleaning business. That was my entire childhood. He started that in 1978. And I had this really unique, amazing childhood where my dad owned his own business. And to me, that's what I thought owning your own business was his kind of model, which was owner operator, guy on the tools, working 5 days a week with between 0 and 1 employee for that entire time period. And I was one of those employees. So, as a kid, my dad would take advantage of all the child labor laws and pay me 5 cents a screen, to wash with him. And, but just was absolutely an amazing experience. And so, I got bit by the entrepreneur bug early. The day I turned 18, my 18th birthday, went to City of Gresham, got my first business license,
Wow.
and have pretty much been self-employed ever since, working on 100% commission, which is what we are as business owners. 100% commissions.
No safety net.
Individuals. No safety net. No. And I become very comfortable with that, even though, I have lost everything. I had a construction company for a period of time, and we lost our house. We put my daughter's birth on a Nordstrom credit card. We were on food stamps, and it was humbling, big time humbling. So just a lot of lessons learned over the years. I feel like I've made every single mistake that you could make as an entrepreneur, and I'm still learning every single day. I think that in order to grow, you have to be comfortable with being wildly uncomfortable. And I kind of constantly seek out uncomfortability because that's where I find growth. So I still feel like I don't know what the heck I'm doing, and I have massive imposter syndrome from time to time, and I'm a normal guy. So yeah, I love sharing anything that I've learned over the years.
Dude, it's humbling to hear you say that, because from an outsider looking in, it looks like, Brandon, you got it all figured out, man. Everything that you touch in the eyes of, at least for me, some fellow entrepreneurs who look up to you, it looks like it turns to gold. It looks like,
I appreciate that,
from the
man.
perspective of, like, if Brandon's on it, it's turned to gold. And you're telling me a story where things weren't always the case. What shift took place? I'd love to hear a little bit more about that construction experience. Was it because of the economy? Was it your,
Oh,
was
I'd
it
love
some
to blame the economy. I think everyone loves to blame other people and other circumstances for their failures, but it was me. It was just abject, knowing what I know now. The E-Myth was actually a transformational book for me by
Yeah,
by
likewise.
Michael Gerber. And I didn't actually read that until several years later. And it was like, oh my God, I've been looking at business the wrong way the entire time. And the funny thing is I kind of, I saw my dad, owner operator business and a business owner, and I didn't understand something until later on that I came to know as what the bus factor is.
Okay.
And the bus factor is a score where how many people in your business need to get hit by a bus before your company ceases to exist.
Wow.
And it can be a literal bus or a metaphorical bus. And for owner operator business owners, and even people that have companies, but they're the guy in the field, or they're the, the one salesperson, or if you leave or something happens to you, the value of your business is quickly reduced to zero. That's a big problem.
Mm,
And for me and my construction company, that was the first instance where I realized like, oh dang, if anything happens to me or there's any kind of problems or I'm the one that's doing the sales, the install work, eventually something has to give. And I didn't understand how to build teams. I ran my business just like an owner operator. Yeah, I did, when the '07, '08 thing, I had all my stuff in new construction and I didn't diversify enough and I didn't have a backup plan. I didn't understand marketing. I didn't have a budget.
mm,
So I got hit by that one.
mm.
But my dad in 2012, his business, he finally got hit by a bus, metaphorically. He was
Really?
diagnosed with heart disease.
Wow.
And the doctor told him, you can't work physically anymore. Like, no more ladders, no more buckets. And that's all he'd known for 33 years. And so we had a very tearful meeting where he said, hey, I'm just going to have to shut it down. All clean's done. Like, maybe I'll go be a Walmart greeter. He literally said that, so I
Wow.
think that for me, experiencing those things was pretty transformational because when I bought All Clean from my dad so he could retire and paid way more than what it was worth, but to make sure that he was able
Beautiful.
to be set up, then that's when things started kind of changing and shifting, and I started kind of understanding with coaches and books, like, okay, this is the right way to kind of grow and scale.
What a story, man. And I think, man, that's, because of your ability to look at the big picture and say, hey, you know what? I have to be humble here. I wasn't doing this the right way. And I think some people get
No,
stuck in their stinking thinking, man. It's like, I don't need help. I don't need books or mentorship or coaching. I'm just going to bullnose my way through this.
right.
Um, and it turned out to be a blessing, for your dad. What's interesting is that even though you grew up watching him do this sort of methodology of business, which is I got it. I called the
Yeah.
I I got it. I think it was a subtle. Um, there was a lot of subtleties that probably happened in your construction business where you knew you shouldn't get it, but you took care of it. Um, does that kind of summarize? I don't think it was intentional, but I think it's the
Yeah.
subtleties as a CEO that kind of bite us in the butt. Is that what happened to you?
100%, man. 100%. Yeah. And for me, I looked up to my dad as my hero, and he still is my hero for different reasons. Maybe not necessarily for, business, business skills. But he always took care of the customer.
Yeah.
He did. And the thing that I realized is at the time I was like, wow, my dad's his own boss. But it's funny, when we go into business for ourselves, now we have hundreds of bosses.
Yeah.
And the customer's our boss, the employee's
Yeah.
our boss, where it's like, employee doesn't come into work. Okay, well, now we're going to go replace them in the
Mhm.
field. Oh, customer says we got to come on a Saturday or a Sunday. It's like, yes, Mrs. Smith, I'll be there. Like,
Yeah.
you're never really your own boss until you kind of get to a place where you bring that bus factor up and have more
Sure.
redundancies and more people on the team, and the ability to be able to go leave and make sure that things are set up. And I didn't understand any of these things, to be honest, Tanner, until these more recent years. And it's through lots of trial and error and lots of good coaching and mentorship. Um, and I think looking back, now I had to experience all those things for me to be the man that I am today. So I don't even look back on regret with some of those choices that I made. I don't regret the fact that I lost all my I lost my house and we were on food stamps because that introduced me to Dave Ramsey Financial Peace University. And I learned how to budget for the first time in my life. Like,
Wow.
any terrible thing that happens, and maybe people watching or listening to this right now, like, you've gone through some really crappy stuff and you feel like a failure, that's what shapes you into being the person that you're going to be
Mm.
tomorrow. So it's like you almost kind of have to embrace it and then take your learnings from it, and then the next day say, okay, how do I prevent that from happening again? And just that constant 1% improvement is kind of what I chase now.
So you go through the experience of construction, and it's, in your words, a complete failure, but not
Yeah,
really, because there was a lot of
it's
lessons
true.
learned,
Yeah.
right?
There's no failures, just results that we learn
Sure.
from.
There's a threshold that was created of, okay, I'm not going back.
Yeah. Right.
What was the next play? Because you found yourself in concrete coatings. How did you enter that market?
Oh man, there's a lot that happened between my construction business to the concrete coatings thing, but I'll give a quick summary.
Yeah, please.
So All Clean, I bought that from my dad. It was doing $8,000 a month and in
And that was
revenue.
through his, pretty much him and a helper, or him by himself?
Him and a helper.
Okay.
Yeah, him and a helper, maybe part-time helper
Sure.
type of a thing. When I bought it from him, there was enough work. My dad was only working 4 days a week,
Yep.
like with a part-time helper,
Yep.
doing $8,000 a month in revenue. Okay. So I bought it for $3,000 a month for life. That was my terms, and
Beautiful terms.
because it's exactly what my dad needed to be able to retire. Like that would supplement his Social Security, and he could retire. So
Sure.
that it's like regardless of what the business valuation was, like that's what we did. But I had this big debt now that I had to fill. So it forced me to grow. With All Clean over the course of the next 5.5, 6 years, we went from 0 to 70 employees. And we scaled up to doing about $500K a month. Wow. With that in window cleaning and pressure washing and
Wow.
soft washing. That's just there. And while I was kind of growing, I loved this. I loved to coach. I loved to, I did these stupid little videos called Happy System Saturday. Every single Saturday I would post in Facebook and all these different groups, like a system I learned.
Sure.
And that kind of developed a lot of pressure and a lot of people reaching out saying like, hey, I know I need to be doing systems. How do I do this? Can you coach me? And it got to the point where I started trying to doing some coaching while I was growing. But I kind of knew that things had to kind of scale up from there. And so that's what prompted me to kind of launch Conquer. And then Conquer has been literally the most fulfilling work I could ever do in my life. It absolutely fulfilled, the strong desire to pay it back to people.
Yeah.
And that's been incredible. But Wise Coatings actually was born out of a project to just start a YouTube channel called Map to a Million. And I'd sold All Clean. I was doing Conquer. I missed home services. I was coaching people about home services. And so it's like, okay, I want to start a YouTube channel called Map to a Million. Let's document starting a brand new company from zero without doing any work in the field, without answering any phone calls, and without doing any sales from day one. And concrete coatings was literally just something I kind of heard about, but I mostly picked it because I had no experience in it whatsoever.
And at the time, I'm sure concrete coatings, from my experience, and I've been in 8-9 years now, but most cases, this was an accessory service that a painting company would provide, right? I mean, is that accurate? Because I just feel like maybe 10 years ago, you're not really seeing like specialists. And there's this thing that I've been studying called the market segmentation theory, where over time, specialists begin to zero in on, the niche. So is this around that time where that was starting to happen?
I think it probably happened after that segmentation started kind of picking up, because there was definitely a lot more dedicated concrete coatings companies when I started. And that was one of the things that was appealing to me. Actually, a couple of conquerors that we had in our program had concrete coatings businesses, and I saw the margins and what could be. I understood the business a little bit, as far as like what it would take. It's pretty fascinating. I mean, you definitely have to go out and hunt and kill what you eat every single day, because it's not a recurring service model.
Sure.
But once you master the ability to market those services, then it's pretty much a never-ending flow of customers and jobs that comes in.
Yeah. People love that service.
And it's super satisfying. It's really fun to provide too. Like nasty, gross floor, brand new, beautiful space that's antimicrobial, easy to clean, lifetime warranty. And it's just, it's super, super satisfying and fun to do.
It's easy to sell, easy to market, easy to produce. I'm paraphrasing, but honestly, but when you look at the two businesses and compared to cleaning and pressure washing, you look at, hey, all we got to do is focus on this square,
Sure.
That had to be appealing to you as someone thinking long-term of like, hey, like we can nail this system down. Now, did you start off with polyaspartic or,
yes.
Okay. So off the bat, it was a one day I'm going in on this.
Okay. Yeah. We spent a ton of time, thinking through, okay, how are we going to be unique? How are we going to be different? How do we make sure we're using the best products that are out there? And there's reasons to use epoxy and polyaspartic and polyurethane, and concrete. And one of the things that we started developing almost immediately was I hired a chemist to develop a UV curable
No
top coat
way.
product to where, top coat goes down and then you can actually cure it with a UV lamp and you can have instant return to service. And so that's like game changing thing. And now that's coming to market, which is really exciting to kind of see
Really?
the results of that R&D
Is
work
it
start to kind of pay off.
proprietary to Wise Coatings, or are you gonna
It's
like?
not 100% proprietary. No, I won't get all the way into it, but it's now available on the market to everyone aside from just Wise Coatings. But we're still kind of working on our own
Sure.
secret version of it now.
So how does that
Um,
help the process compared to the alternative?
Well, the main difference is even with polyaspartic, you put down a top coat at 3 o'clock p.m. You tell them, hey, you can't walk on this until 3 p.m. the next day.
Mm.
And where's all their stuff? It's in tents out in the driveway. It's in a storage container. Whereas at 3 o'clock p.m., you could literally be moving everything back into the concrete,
Wow.
and then they can come in and they can park on it.
That's a true one-day experience.
It is. And it's kind of the unicorn type of product. And,
Yeah.
and we're not exactly 100% happy with every single property of the process right now. So we're continuing to kind of work on that and get that honed in. But I think that'll be the next big thing
So something
eventually.
that I teach and preach, and because this is such a good example, is like when you niche down, intense focus creates innovation
It's so
because
true.
your tunnel vision and you're looking at small inconsistencies to maximize the efficiencies. And through that, innovation gets created. And I talk
Yeah.
to too many people that have a house painting business. They want to do cabinets. They're doing staining. They're they're
Right.
doing wood repair and ceiling
Right.
popcorn removal. And here's Brandon coming through saying, we've narrowed down this one particular instance where I want to speed up the time of when we put their stuff back into the garage to create the ultimate experience. This is a separating factor. When your salespeople are pitching this, it's going
Yeah.
to say, hey, do you want your stuff out in the driveway for a day, or do you want it done in X amount of time? Again, this is that theory I'm talking about of how it's such a beautiful example of something that someone not specializing in a specific element of business won't cross that bridge,
No.
you
And
know?
there's so many reasons to specialize and just go deep in one thing.
Deep.
I mean, it's like, think about a well. When they want to get water that's a sustainable, reliable source, they don't, put vacuums in the tops of 4-inch wide, 4-inch deep, mile wide puddles because that could dry up really easily.
Sure.
They go deep into the ground and they keep going and they keep going until they hit that that vein of water where it's just constant fresh supply that's just kind of never ending. And I think the tendency to go wide comes from a place of, just for me, it was small-minded thinking. It was, well, if I diversify, then I'll have more things that I can sell. And then therefore I'll have more work that comes in. But you don't understand how big your market actually is. Like, with All Clean, we had our fleet photo where there's 24 service vehicles, 70 employees, and we probably had about like a 2% market share in our Portland, Vancouver metro market.
2%.
Oh, God, yeah. I mean, it was, and the reason why I say that is because every single building that someone works in or lives in can use our services. And with painting, just drive. Just drive for an hour through your town and see how many streets you cover, how many buildings you see, and realize every single one of those needs your services.
We paint 350 houses a year.
Yeah.
One neighborhood that I'm in has 650 houses. And
Right.
ready?
It's so stupid.
Ready for this?
It's like it's so much work.
Interior and exterior. It doubles the
Right.
market, right?
Yeah,
I
it's so
mean,
true.
it's freaking insane. I love that analogy. Drill down.
There's a guy that I know that built a multi-million-dollar cleaning business, only cleaning TPO and EPDM roofs, flat roofs. That's it.
Wow.
Multi-million-dollar business, and all he does, and it's, you don't even see it. It's up on the top of the roofs. And when you start specializing, you have the ability to create unbelievable training systems. You're training your technicians in one particular set of skills. So you can have unbelievable training videos that teach them from start to finish how to do it. You can make masters, at a craft. When
Yeah.
you have all these other services, you have to teach your employees how to do everything. You have to have
Yeah.
vehicles set up differently. It's hard, business should be like hotel rooms, and every hotel room is set up the same, just
Yep.
like every truck is set up the same.
Yeah.
And then all you're doing is just booking out that truck, doing the exact same work every single day. It has to be rinse and repeat, and it has to be scalable in order to be scalable. Like it has
Sure.
to be.
Well, construction. Let's talk
Yeah,
about
that's a
that
fun one.
because the variables are insane. Like
It's
that you
part of the
probably
reason why I went bankrupt with my construction business
there
was
was no
because
predictability. It's very
no,
hard to, and then you have to deal with the component of customization, which I'm sure you ran into as well.
100%. Well, and I would do everything. Oh yeah, I could do sheetrock. Sure, no
Yeah.
problem. Yeah, we could do mud set shower pans. We could do custom tower. We can do hardwood floors. We can do finish trim. I can install cabinets for you. I can do your deck.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do your fence.
Yeah.
Like, and no wonder I had to have one employee that just was my helper because I would tackle all these
Yeah.
things, and it's impossible to teach your team members how to do all that stuff. It's
Right.
not possible. So
Right.
it's a big part of the strategy for sure.
So the story continues. You start the brand. Was it named Wise Coating off the bat, or was this the transition into franchising where you rebranded?
No, it was named Wise Coat. So and there's 16 episodes on YouTube if you want to go check them out, called Map to a Million. And I document from us going from zero to $100,000 a month in 4 months. So month 4, we did over 100 grand in revenue, and we continue that pace. We hit 7 figures our first year.
So you
We
started the business with this in mind.
Yeah. Well, no, actually, no, I didn't start it with the mind to franchise it. I started it because I started it knowing that whenever I start a business, I want to have the branding look like it could be a franchise. I want it to be the
Sure.
biggest, baddest company when it hits the market, where people are
Okay.
like, I see your trucks everywhere,
Yeah,
even
yeah,
though I
yeah,
only have
yeah.
1 or 2 driving around in the
Right.
area. And it's because there's that psychological component. When you pull up to the house and they see these big wrapped vehicles with this unbelievable branding, they're like, okay, this is going to be the most expensive company. They're
Yeah.
going to be the most competent. They're going to be, like, there's so much that goes into what's not being said when you brand really well.
Yeah.
So I hired Ryan Kettering with Prolific Brand Design. He put together all of our branding for Wise Coatings. We worked on it together and then launched that. And then month 4, when I started launching the Map to a Million series, I had a whole bunch of people reach out like, I want to open a Wise Coatings. Looking back on it, it was silly why I started it, because all the people that asked me to start a Wise Coatings franchise were people that shouldn't be franchisee owners. I've learned a lot about franchising just in general.
Sure.
But it pushed us to go do that. So that's when I went out and found Whitney and brought her onto the team. She's now my CEO of Wise Coatings franchises, and she's literally grown that company from 0 locations to 35 locations now. We're adding another 20 more.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, we've been 3 years. 3 years in.
Congratulations, man.
Thanks. It's her. I'm telling you, people don't understand this. I get way more credit than I should. I feel like my superpower is finding really good, talented people, selling them the vision. I'm good with casting vision and kind of setting up, what it could be. And I think so clearly in my mind, like it's already happened.
Yeah.
And I'm good at articulating that to someone else and getting them to see it too, and helping kind of point them in the right direction. And I'm good at holding people accountable. I'm good at systems. I'm good at marketing. And then I bring them in, and then they're my operators, and then they integrate, and they go out and get it done way better than I could. I don't make a good CEO, Tanner.
Yeah.
I don't make a good CEO. And at some point I'll step down as CEO of Hirebus when the time comes, because there'll be someone better that can run that company than me. So that's just something I've learned about myself over the years.
I can appreciate that. And self-reflection is important. I think it's even at the level of an owner operator of a business, you might say, well, I don't make a good salesperson.
That's right. Yeah.
I kind of suck at sales, and I'm thinking that I have to be the guy that sells because I own the business. Well,
Right.
if you really like the aspect of production, find somebody to do the sales,
A
if that's
100%.
right. I mean,
Yeah.
does that fall in line with like what, the best practice in terms of growth is just like play to your strengths and hire for
Oh
your
my God,
weaknesses?
man. Say it louder so that the people
Play to
listening
your strengths and hire
can
for your
hear that.
weaknesses.
Yeah. I mean,
You
if you're listening to this or
Yeah,
watching this, like what Tanner said is it took me years to understand. And I wish that, that you would have told me that years ago, because it was for me, and understanding what you're good at, what you're bad at, what is the thing that lights you up? What's the
yeah,
thing that makes you want to collapse on yourself like a dying star? Like,
sure.
stop doing those things.
Yeah,
And one of the things I coach people all the time is put together a stop doing list.
yeah.
Forget to-do
I
lists.
like that.
Like, let's
Stop
write
doing.
everything out that we want to stop doing. Okay,
Yeah,
is that running checks to the bank? Is it going and doing estimates?
sure.
Is it answering phone
Yeah,
calls? Like, for you to be able to go on a month-long vacation from your business, what are all the things that you'd have to stop doing and delegate to someone else for you to
right,
be able to accomplish that? And when you
right.
get really strategic at it, you start checking them off the list. And then before you know it, you're like, what do I do now? I don't have anything to do because I've
Yeah.
stopped doing all these things that I was doing. And now I'm just doing the things that I love. Business it feels different at that point.
This is a good segue into Hirebus because you can't do any of this unless you have the core competency of recruiting. Because,
Yeah.
dude, I know for a fact, and I learned more of this in drip jobs than I did in premium painting, that,
Yeah.
these hires make or break the success. I mean, there's not, it's rare that someone in premium painting that's, a painter can influence the growth of the company. And we would
Yeah.
spot that pretty soon because the skill sets are one to one. Like I can walk up and see your quality, your,
Right.
appearance and your demeanor on the job. But when you start getting into different types of businesses, especially a remote business, the subtleties can slip through the cracks and it might be months before you identify a problem. And most
Yes.
of the time, that was because the recruiting process was
Mm-hmm.
compromised in some way, shape, or form. So that's
Right.
what I want to segue into. Hire bus, your theory when it comes to hiring, why you're invested in this company, what about it inspired you? From an outsider looking in, I'd really just like to know, what is this thing?
So when I was running Conquer, we've helped over 21,000 business owners through our work in Conquer,
Amazing.
through our events, through our coaching, and the number one thing that we've seen is people struggle with people,
Sure.
and it's not just recruiting them, running job ads, going through that process, but like interviewing them, looking at their resumes. What questions do you ask people to find out if they are actually a good fit? How can you rely on data instead of just feelings? And then once they come onto the team, how do you coach them? How do you develop them? How do you make sure that like they're leveling up? And I mean, because with my cleaning business, one time at a team meeting, I said something really stupid at a team meeting that caused over half of my people to quit within the next 2 to 4 weeks.
Really?
Yeah, it was just dumb. It was just so stupid what I said. It totally demoralized everybody. And I thought it was a great idea when I said it, like this will motivate everyone. Exact opposite effect. And you just don't realize until, I've coached an individual, and for whatever reason, he just has this crazy turnover problem. He's having all these issues with people. And I coach him and he's like, I'm doing that. I've had that conversation. I do that. And then you go out and you visit him in person and you realize how he talks to them and the tone that he
Mm,
uses. And it's super condescending, or, he has this like, he just makes them feel like garbage when he talks to them. And you're like, aha, okay, this is the secondary layer. So one of the things that made me want to solve this problem is I've learned a ton on how to attract really good people in, and there's a few key elements to it. Number one, getting good people is a marketing problem to solve, hands down. What's a tougher sell? Going out and convincing another human to let you paint their house, or going out and convincing another human to spend 40 hours plus a week working for you in your company, spending more time with you and your culture than they even spend at home with their families during their waking hours. Like, this is a way tougher sell
It is.
because you're going to be staying with me for years and you're going to be spending the
Sure.
better part of your waking hours working with me and in
Yeah.
my company. And
That's a good way
like,
to
that's a
phrase it.
tough freaking sell.
It is.
But meanwhile, business owners, including myself back in the day, like we would think about, oh, what's our ideal customer avatar and what should our ads look like? And what's our budget for marketing to our external customers? But like our internal customers are 10 times more important because literally what we sell is not paint. We're not Sherwin-Williams. We have painters on our team. You know, they're people, and that's the product that we offer to our customers. And like, it's our number one most valuable asset and thing that we sell.
Sure.
So we have to make sure it's the best
Yeah.
if we want to get the best results.
I want to know, someone signs up for Hirebus. What is next steps?
Okay, you want to just start off from there then and just ask
Sure.
that question? Because I went
Yeah.
all the way up to saying, like, we have the right seat assessment, and that
Yep.
scores people on 1 to
I
10
caught all that.
candidates.
I think
Oh,
all
you
that
did?
stuff.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
Okay.
So I'll just go into
Okay,
that.
cool.
So you sign up for Hirebus. Someone's interested in this. Like, what is next steps? How to, like, first you outline, the role they're looking for, or what does that look like inside the software?
So we have a hiring concierge that sits down and does a whole interview of you and your company, finds out your core values, what makes you different, what your industry is, what things make you unique in the marketplace. And then we use AI in our software to write all of the job ads, and we write several of them, and then we post them on job boards and we split test their performance. So every single week, it'll actually rewrite the ads until they're
Okay.
at the top performing peak results. So it helps keep spend down a lot. And then we have a whole automation sequence where it nurtures the candidates once they filled out an application to take the Hirebus right seat assessment. And then we basically will automatically schedule and sync with your calendar and just schedule the top 3% of talent onto your calendar to interview.
No kidding.
So it does all that first part. And then once you interview them, we automatically generate your interview questions for you. We have an AI resume scanner that like scans your resume and gives you insights into the resume. And then we're building out more features on that side where it's going to be even more powerful. But already, like the cost per hire and the quality of candidates that we're getting through.
Is this being posted on Indeed most of the case? Is that usually where you send, like, where's the postings happening?
Yeah, Indeed. We have other job boards that we post to as well, but Indeed's the big, 800-pound gorilla.
Yeah,
But the
yeah,
difference is when someone just goes and posts on their own in Indeed, if you don't have the right headlines and hooks and job ad copy, we've seen a swing of about 70% fewer candidates that will show up and actually apply, just dependent on how the ad is written.
Sure.
So, now that we've been posting thousands of these things, we have it down to just a science where
Yeah.
the ads that we post are just absolutely crush.
Yeah. And I imagine gathering that data can be helpful for new people coming in, because it's like,
100%.
we know what ads work for these types of individuals. Now, you're not just doing, now, could this work for other sectors or not just home service, right? I mean, this is going to be
We're focused again, back to the niches. We're focused just in home services for right now.
Sure.
It absolutely does work in other ones. We get customers coming to us. We have people that hire call centers and sales reps for other industries. We have a dental clinic that has worked with us. We have law enforcement that wants to work with us to be able to get law enforcement officers in. So there's a lot of different applications, but right now we're just focused in home services.
Hiring is guessing, firing is knowing, but with Hirebus, it's a better decision.
Okay, send me that soundbite. There's our new tagline. You heard it here first.
So,
man.
Brandon, I'm excited, man. Thank you for your time. Man, it's an honor to have you. I'm a big fan, and hopefully people hear your your heart in this, and just to get the awareness out about Hirebus and the type of leader you are. I hope some of that sticks. Good news, we got our friend Brandon here coming to Contractor Impact. That's our flagship online event, and our mission is to impact. So if you're listening to this and you want to hear more from Brandon, he's going to bring some value July 30th and 31st.
Awesome. Yeah. And can I give your listeners a free assessment?
Please.
So if there's one question, our assessment's unique. It's a single question survey that when someone answers it, they get 21 behavioral attributes unscored on the back end of it. If you want to see what that is, go to hirebus.com/free. The assessment's about like a $50 value as a one-off, but you can take it and then we'll send you the whole coaching report and the behavioral blueprint afterwards. And it's pretty unbelievable. Like I'll show you kind of what this looks like.
Yeah, please.
This is my score here. So this is my line chart, and it has proactivity, dominance, order, support, networking.
So you took this assessment.
This is my assessment.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is what it looks like, and you get 21 different, on aggression, on change, on self-confidence, on creativity, and this is what gets me into trouble as a CEO. Is when you look at benchmarks, I score a 7. And the reason why I score a 7 is because my change is way too high and my criticality is way too low. And my support is too high. And so there's different coaching videos in here that talk about, for people who are too high of support, why is that a problem as a CEO? Too high change, why is that a problem as a CEO? And it's very customized. So, you can see scores for people. Now, marketing creative, I score really high as a marketing creative. And that's one of my superpowers is coming up with creative ideas on the marketing front. But again, my endurance is a little bit low. That's why I'm not a 10. So it's hard for me to finish projects when I start them. So it's super insightful. So you'll get insight just for yourself as a CEO to find out what areas will make you a better CEO. Don't be discouraged if you score super low. I've had very successful CEOs score like a 3 or 4. And the difference is they hire their weaknesses and they bring people on to fill out their weaknesses. So just because you're a business owner, but if you're going to hire a CEO from scratch, right, you want to hire someone that scores a lot higher. But it's super insightful to be able to see what areas you can work on.
I'm glad you showed me this. And anyone listening, hirebus.com/free, they can take this assessment and get this data about themselves if they want.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a fun assessment. You'll enjoy taking it.
Take it.
I'll send it to you.
About to do it. Yeah, I'm going to do it. I want to see it. Cool. I don't know if I'm going to like what I see though. And I'm going to be honest with you because you and I are pretty similar in the empathy category. And I found that's been not the best thing, but I'm working through it.
Same here, man. My criticality is so low. I see the best in everybody, all my employees. I think I interview someone, I'm like, you're amazing.
Dude, listen, let me say something.
I have to have other people interview.
Dude, this guy and this, I mean, I had an interview with a painter and he brought his son to the interview. The kid was playing on his iPad. And I mean, I don't even think I listened to what this guy was saying. I was just wanting to help him. Man. Winded up firing him. I mean, he wasn't a good fit, but I have issues there too, man. So
yeah, likewise.
Thanks, Brandon.
Well, thanks for having me on, Tanner.
Yes,
I appreciate it, man.
Honored.
If you're listening, go grab a ticket to Contractor Impact. The speaker lineup that Tanner put together is unbelievable. I'm going to be listening the entire time. So definitely make sure that you register for that fast because I know those tickets are filling up quick.
Oh, we're excited, man. We just want to create impact, man. That's what this is about. So thanks, Brandon.
I'm stoked. All right. Take care.